Get it on an email, get it out to anybody that might be interested. I'm convinced that these numbers are something that if you were to go out and make an open records request using these numbers, so you know what you're asking for, this is what you would get. The second thing Colonel asked me about was, he said, Jim, you seem to be so concerned about the Trinity River Vision. Tell me about the water projects. Doesn't seem like the district is interested in water. Well, that's not true. That's not true at all, because I went ahead and had a very good summary put together of the water projects also that have been going on, at least since I've been on the board and prior to that. And they're pretty interesting. Some of you may have read about the lawsuit that we have with Oklahoma. I know somebody said neighbors don't sue neighbors. Well, as a lawyer, I'll tell you, neighbors sue neighbors all the time when neighbors don't keep their contractual agreements. And that lawsuit's all over something called the Red River Compact that was entered into between Louisiana, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Texas in the 70s about all the excess water in Oklahoma. I know people don't realize this, but Oklahoma's got more water than you can imagine on their western part of Oklahoma. And that compact allowed Texas to get this water that was going to flow into the Red River. It's not water that anybody is using, it's water, excess water that flows into the Red River. The problem is, once it gets into the Red River, then it becomes contaminated. And the cost of then cleaning it up for use in Texas is astronomical. So we've been trying to get Oklahoma, and they've been fighting us, and we're in a federal court, in the appeals court right now. But that's a big issue, and we've tried desperately to do that. We also, much to my surprise, entered into an agreement with Dallas to build a major pipeline from Lake Palestine through Cedar Creek to Dallas to Fort Worth to bring more water in here. It's $1 billion project. It's a very interesting project, and I've had them write about that in here. And also, and I know Colonel Fisher would love to see this, and I'd love to take him if he would like.
I have to call time on here.
We've created a wetlands project too that has really been instrumental. It's been an award winner in the United States on how to recapture water.
Before the flag starts, can I just say that Layla has the documents that Jim brought, and I assume she's going to make them available through the trip site or whatever afterwards. Yes? Yes.
All right, and Clyde, and first time you guys speak, if you all would introduce yourself as well. So.
I'm Clyde Peach. I was on the city council when this Trinity River Vision project came up as well. Served with Jim for 8 years, and I have to say that Jim's a good friend and an honest guy, and I'm very appreciative of the fact that he was able to come, willing to come and share this information with us. He's a lawyer, so you got to watch out. So, you can see it takes one of him, 3 of us for one of him. But I don't dispute any of the figures. When we were on the council, when we were looking at this first off, I thought actually for $360 million and $1 billion tax base return, it wasn't all that bad of a project. By the time we got around to voting for the TIF, I'd already decided that this was it was going to be a lot more expensive than we had planned, and it was not going to be a project that I could support. I've seen too many public-private partnerships the city's been involved in, and believe me, there are numerous around the city where the city has put up a lot of money expecting a big return, and it just doesn't happen. So our expectations are always a lot higher than we get back, and our costs, our expectations are lower, and our costs are much higher. Now, this project is no different. It's already gone from $360 million to almost $1 billion. And I would dare say, knowing the record of the Corps of Engineers, that just the channel and the gates, the locks, the stuff that they add onto this will be another billion. It's just not a good project from the public policy standpoint. I wouldn't say that it's not going to be good for some people. It certainly is. The politicians that dreamed it up and the law firm that was involved in setting up the structure, and those private individuals that gain financially from it, yes, it's good for them. But for you, the tax-paying public, it's a loser. It's an upside-down loan. It's already costing more than we're going to get back, and it's not even there yet. It's just started. So I appreciate Jim's being here to argue for the facts as they stand right now, but as a policy issue, it's bad policy and not something that we should pursue.
Mr. Basham, if you'd introduce yourself.
Yeah, as I look around the room, I think I know most of the faces in here from running for water board twice, once against Mr. Lane. Full disclosure, I actually supported Mr. Lane in his run for mayor as well. So I was thinking, though, I was thinking, you're a lawyer, I'm a weatherman. I'm not sure which one of the two of us is a bigger liar, but my name is John Basham. My name is John Basham. I am a meteorologist. I own my own company called Storm Spotter Live. We are a consulting company. We spend a lot of time with energy companies doing all kinds of studies for them on where the best place is to put either a solar plant or wind farms, and day-to-day actions including severe weather and rainfall projections, things like that. So I also spent the better part of a decade on television in different parts of Texas. The last place I was chief meteorologist was at the ABC station down in Lincoln. My stance here today is probably going to surprise many of you. I don't have really a big for or against on the Trinity River Vision downtown, other than it is a distraction. And what I mean by a distraction is, we in Texas typically, especially in north central Texas, are in what's called a semi-arid climate. We don't get enough rainfall. And I'll go into a little more specific detail without getting into scientific gloss over these things. But the Texas State Water Development Board just put out its new water plan for the year 2012 and for the next 50 years. And one of the things it says in bold print is that Region C, which is a big chunk of what is the Tarrant Regional Water District, does not have enough water and very likely cannot meet its projected needs without some pretty substantial items falling in line, including getting the water from Oklahoma, putting a brand new lake in northeast Texas, and putting large pipelines into far east Texas. And then another 40% will have to come from conservation. So my concerns are more along the lines of, are we really focusing our efforts where they ought to be? So what I'll address tonight, hopefully, will be any kind of a water question you have about what other solutions we can have that would be more cost effective, more along the lines of flood control and water supply. So that's where I think we ought to be focusing. I actually would love to see something like the Trinity River Vision done. I'm not a big fan of using tax dollars to do it. So hopefully we'll hear more on that tonight.
Steve, if you'd like to say a few words.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hollern. I'm a CPA here in Fort Worth, and as a businessman, I've looked at the numbers on this thing, and that's where my concern comes. As John said, I'm not particularly opposed to the project. It would be nice to have something like that. A lot of things that we would like to have that are nice. But the question comes down is, I am concerned about cost, and even more so, who pays for that cost? And some of you have heard me say before, if the developer were to go out and buy 1,000 acres and we're going to develop it for home sites, we carve that up, it'll be platted out, put in streets, curbs, gutters, utilities, drainage, all that sort of stuff. But that's what developers do, and then sell a finished home site to the people that are going to build homes. In this project, the citizens are being asked to take up the bulk of the development work so that the builders that can put their condominiums up can basically make a lot of money. The project is, we've seen projections that say it's going to pay for itself. I have some serious doubt about that, and I will try to go back and, as Clyde mentioned, some of the projects